These are videos for my Celebrity Apex cruise that took place between August and start of September of 2021. This is my living room just before I leave. Big suitcase is for my children and husband who were off to Albania because I was off to Athens on my solo travels. My EasyJet flight from Gatwick to Athens was only about a quarter full. I had plenty of wine, chocolate and Netflix to watch on the way though. So I arrived at Athens airport at about 8:30 and got through all the passport and security checks really quickly. This is me at the metro station where I got like a 15-minute metro to St Agnes Square, which is where my hotel was located. In fact, I chose it because it was directly across from the metro stop. It was called the Hotel Amalia and I booked 2 nights there in a double room. It was a really great stay in this hotel. In fact, I stayed there for the night after the cruise was finished as well. The reason I stayed the extra night was because I had a big tour for the next day. The tour the next day was with Ammon Express Tours, and it went to Corinth Mycenae, Nafplio and Epidaurus. We had a great guide. He had a real interest in history and archaeology and was really enthusiastic. We spent about 20 minutes here at Corinth. He took us out obviously over the bridge so we could see the canal for ourselves. On this occasion the canal was actually closed for the summer and they just put big sort of rocks at the end of each entrance so that no ships can go up and down the canal. The second stop was to the ancient city of Mycenae, the home of the famous King Agamemnon from the Trojan War stories. Mycenae was a hilltop city with its own acropolis, so there's lots of walking uphill with this part of the tour. In fact, the first part here is the famous Lion Gate, which was the main entrance to the city. There was quite a lot to see at Mycenae, and there were plenty of panels that you could read to see what you were looking at. This is the lower part of the city where most of the townsfolk lived and the shops were located. But as you moved up the hillside, you started moving to the area where the temples were located. It was about 34 degrees today. So this was still in the morning part, but it was already getting very hot and it was very exposed. So people were just taking their time and doing that walk up the hill before taking the descent back down to the car park area. In fact, at the car park there was quite a good museum which had lots of artifacts from the ruined area, as well as this copy of the famous Agamemnon gold mask with the original is in the Athens Museum of Archaeology. So this is the entrance to King Agamemnon's tomb. Of course, it isn't really from King Agamemnon, but it is a really good example of what they call a beehive structure. So really bizarre to think this was built maybe 1000 to 1500 years BC. So this is really popular to stop off before heading on to our next stop, which was the first capital of the new Greek state called Nafplio, which is a really beautiful town on the Peloponnese. So it was only capital for a short time before Athens took over, and we started our stay here with this fortress high view over the old town. It also gave us panoramics across the bay where the fortress was located and some of the beautiful sort of beach areas around there as well. We stayed a couple of hours in Nafplio. It's where we also had our lunch break. We had some souvlaki, but we did quite an extensive walking tour of the old town, and we also walked out to the sort of bay area. We were probably walking for about an hour, and I think by the end of that we were really sort of keen to get back to the air-conditioned coach. Everyone was feeling a bit tired by this stage of the day. We had one final stop, and that was at Epidaurus, which is the home of this quite magnificent Greek-style amphitheatre. You can see that it's very well preserved, and in fact they were setting up to do some, I think it was opera shows here during the summer period. It was really hot by this point, so I just sat under the trees and relaxed for a while, and then I visited the little museum in the area, which held statuary and ruins of statues from the area. After this, we headed back to Athens. There's a bit of traffic on the way, but then I just had a relaxing evening. I took a walk out around the Syntagma Square area and just had a really nice sort of souvlaki dinner before settling down for my sleep before my cruise.